It's been Agatha all along.
It's been Agatha all along.
Was she though? Hello, namaskar, welcome, swagatam. So, episode 8 of WandaVision is the longest one of all and is the explanations episode, which means that almost all the unanswered questions that I was referring to in my previous video have been addressed in this episode. I say almost because questions are still there, many old ones and a couple new ones, which I'll address soon. Before starting, here is a spoiler warning for those who are still waiting another 2 weeks to binge the entire season. I am not discussing all story points and reveals of the episode, but even so, some information will be shared which, if you haven't watched the series, you would rather not know. This episode was the equivalent of a trip down memory lane, first from Agnes's or Agatha's perspective and then from Wanda's perspective, as is evident by the title Previously On. And Wanda's story has such drama and, more importantly, such pain and tragedy that you will be forgiven for hiding a tear at the end watching the Maximoff anomaly manifest from Wanda. The episode begins with what I can only describe as a poor attempt at marvelization of the Salem witch trials of the 17th century. Honestly, that opening scene was bad, in the sense that we have all seen that kind of sucking the life out of someone's scene so many times. The only saving grace was Catherine Hahn's de-aging. In this series, we have seen so many hairstyles, dresses, accents, mannerisms and all that, but there had to be some MCU de-aging magic on the showcase, and we had it with Agatha Harkness's origin story. And Catherine Hahn was great throughout the episode, minus her evil witch laughter from the previous episode. Her demonstration of magic, the mind control, the transmutation and illusion, which essentially are the types of magic that one would imagine Wanda used to create her vision of Westview. But as Agatha Harkness herself accepted, Wanda's magic was a whole new world. Magic on autopilot. That was the apt summary of Wanda's powers. So we know why Agatha is doing what she was doing, what most powerful villains do. Seek out more power. And then she uttered the 2 words, well 4 words actually, that sent every nerd and fan throughout the world in frenzy of excitement. Chaos magic, which means that Wanda Maximoff in the MCU is actually true to the Wanda Maximoff of the comics, one of the most powerful characters in the Marvel Comics period. And Scarlet Witch. In all the years we have known Wanda Maximoff in the MCU, she has never been called this. And now we have the Scarlet Witch in the MCU. And you know shit is going to go down because that was the end of episode 8, but we didn't get that irritating "please stand by" screen at the end. Episode 8 takes place entirely inside the Hex, except the flashbacks and the spine-chilling post-credits scene. Oh, you bet your nerdy MCU fan brain there is a post-credit scene. But there is no longer a sitcom version of the reality created by Wanda. Instead, after Agatha's villainous monologues, the episode actually kicks off when Wanda is forced to answer questions, and that is the point about which I must say you have to have watched Avengers Age of Ultron and Captain America Civil War to really feel connected to the story. It is not simply that Wanda was heartbroken due to Vision's death, which indeed was exceptionally traumatic given that she had to take Vision's life herself before watching him brought back to life and killed yet again. Wanda has also had a traumatic childhood, which this episode will make you remember if you had forgotten why Wanda and Pietro joined Hydra in the first place and why they joined Ultron.
Orphaned at 10 when a shell collapsed their apartment building.
File says they volunteered for Strucker's experiments. It's nuts.
But here's what you can't ignore. Even with all the drama and heartbreak and altogether an awesome piece of television, you can't ignore the fact that Marvel Studios is actually retconning. Well, retroactive continuity or retcon isn't an alien concept in any long-running story, be it a comic book series, a show, or a show based on comic books. And I can't fault Marvel for that. Everyone does it. Especially since that retcon affected one of the weakest Marvel movies, Avengers Age of Ultron, and with that retcon, it gave us a heart-rending explanation of what is going on. And most importantly, It made Wanda Maximoff the Scarlet Witch. What I'm talking about is this.
We're 10 years old, having dinner, the four of us.
In Avengers Age of Ultron, Pietro and Wanda recall their childhood trauma when their apartment was hit by a shell with Stark logo on it. When we revisit that incident in WandaVision episode 8, we see that there is one minor change in what the Maximoff family was doing when that happened, and more importantly, a different look into why that shell didn't explode. With the retcon element aside, what we see is the 10-year-old Wanda and Pietro with their parents in the moment that changed their destiny. You'll be blown away seeing how that flashback ties into the sitcom side of WandaVision. We are further taken forward in time with Wanda during the time she was being experimented upon by Von Strucker. We see Wanda's interaction with Loki's scepter. If the angelic vision we saw when Wanda interacted with Loki's scepter is any indication, we are going to witness the real Scarlet Witch in her real comic book accurate costume by the end of this season, and wouldn't that be a treat? But we did not see Pietro's experimentation, which leads us to ask a few new questions, but that is not the point of this episode. The episode is about Wanda and Vision, and that we see in a glimpse of Wanda's life between the events of Age of Ultron and Captain America Civil War. Vision's description of love has already become the fodder for a million memes and is sweet and funny. And for the first time, we can feel why Vision could be in love with Wanda. I mean, love is a two-way street. I always wondered on what level would Vision feel connected with Wanda for his circuitry to compute an element of love. I must say, in a very short scene, yes, Marvel has given us the beginnings of love of a robot towards a human. And it is not cheesy, it is touching. I mean, how can you beat something like, what is grief but love persevering?
But what is grief, if not love persevering?
That grief and that love is what channeled Wanda's powers and all the events of WandaVision till now. As of episode 8, we know a few things for certain. Wanda is and always has been the Scarlet Witch. Wanda is not the villain as Sword director Hayward led us to believe. She is surely causing pain and trauma to people she has bewitched. But that was neither intentional nor completely in Wanda's control. Pietro, whom we saw in the previous 3 episodes, isn't really Pietro in the real Pietro, although that raises a few new questions. Anyway, Hayward lied about Wanda to everyone, although that was quite obvious, and his ultimate objective was to make a sentient weapon. Again obvious, as the acronym SWORD stands for Sentient Weapon Observation and Response Division. It is worth mentioning that back in episode 4, when we saw WandaVision's SWORD actually differed from Marvel Comics SWORD with the replacement of this one word, it now makes sense for Hayward's intentions. Obviously, for any military-minded person, Vision would be nothing but a sentient weapon. Another thing that we know for certain is that before she came to Westview, Wanda had an amazing Buick Verano. My god, that car! We see Wanda drive that car and it is impossible to take our eyes off that car. Also, like so many other cars in MCU, Wanda's car also has Excelsior written on the number plate. So that's it, folks. With WandaVision episode 8's end, we are left with some obvious questions as how will Wanda prevail against Agatha? And what will be the fate of Vision and Billy and Tommy and the entire populace of Westview, including that agent Franklin, the guy in the beekeeper suit. Then there is Monica Rambeau with her new powers. That's surely going to be a major factor in the future. We have heard Carol Danvers and Monica's mother Maria's voices in the background. There is something really deep going on with Monica, but I think WandaVision is being used as a setup for Monica's future. Although her part may be important in the events of WandaVision, her whole story will probably be revealed elsewhere. Maybe in Captain Marvel 2. And obviously there is the big question of the reveal from episode 8's post-credit scene. Probably there is an adversary in the making for a big showdown in the finale. But there are some other concerns too. Like, how is it that Wanda was left alone after the events of Avengers Endgame? I mean, sure, with Tony Stark's death, most of the world is in disarray with many characters going on their separate ways. But I'd have assumed active people like Nick Fury
Back in the day, I had eyes everywhere, ears everywhere else.
or Doctor Strange
So I keep a watch list of individuals and beings from other realms that may be a threat to this world.
or at least Shuri or Okoye.
was she up there all this time?
would have kept an eye on Wanda. But let's leave that for a moment. The biggest question in my mind is how is the X-Men universe going to be tied up with the events of WandaVision and the MCU as a whole? What do you think? Apart from the obvious what will happen next in WandaVision, what's your most important question? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I'll be back next week to discuss the next episode. If you like this video, please do leave a thumbs up and do share it with all your friends. And if you don't like my opinions or simply wish to speak your mind, jump into the comment section. As always, I'm looking forward to your comments and feedback. This is all from my side for today. Until my next video, do subscribe to my channel, The Versatile Doctor, to stay tuned with me. You have been with Dr. Abhinav Atul, and it is my pride and privilege to be able to connect with you through this video. Namaskar.